Welcome back to Mystery Movies. Today, I will make sense of a film in view of the genuine story of the most youngest fighter of the Second World War called Soldier Boy. Spoilers ahead. And take care. The film starts in Russia where a family of three sit by the waterway, partaking in their time. The most youthful of them, Sergei Alyoshkov, gloats to his senior sibling and mother about him being on top of a tree, when out of nowhere, German warrior jets soar over. The mother asks her children to rapidly conceal in the shrubberies, however the 6-year-old cases he isn't terrified and hits the stream with a slingshot. Amazingly, he figures out how to stir things up around town and detonate them. However, when he glances around, his family is no more. Sergei awakens scared from the fantasy and requires his mom. All of a sudden, somebody thumps on his entryway. Expecting it is his mom, he runs towards it. However, a neighbor lady comes in overreacting. She says thanks to God for keeping him alive, and illuminates him that his mom and sibling are dead. The young man can't understand what she is talking about, and needs to remain in the house to hang tight for his mom. The lady lets him know that the Germans have gone after them and that he ought to take off. All at once, a few troopers approach their home. The lady makes Sergei run through the window, however is shot dead before she can go along with him. The little 6-year-old is presently all alone, with no loved ones. As Sergei takes off from the house, he sees his entire area consuming behind him. He requires his mom to no end, and takes off from that point. In the wake of running for some time, he winds up in the center of the forest. The young child begins to require his mom to come and get him, since he is lost. That evening, he remains in the wilderness. The next morning, we see him hydrate from a stream, when the aggressors approach his direction. Sergei, realizing that they are hazardous, rapidly conceals inside a tree's underlying foundations. He is frightened when a snake comes close by, yet doesn't express a word or take off. Sergei is more frightened of the fighters than of the snake. The officers eat by the waterway and disappear, after which Sergei takes their extra food and gobbles up it for the evening. In any case, before the day's over, the young man is depleted. He hasn't had a legitimate feast in 2 days and has been strolling with no objective. He tumbles down as he limps, however doesn't quit strolling. While on his way, he sees wild berries and gobbles up them, however all of a sudden, a blast happens behind him, overwhelming him. The kid gets woozy, and begins to fantasize somebody coming behind him. Be that as it may, even in such circumstances, he stands courageous and tells the individual he has a rifle and isn't frightened. He limps forward yet falls oblivious sooner or later. While he is sleeping, 2 fighters approach him. The scene slices to the Russian armed force base where Officer Kuznetsov sits tight for his watch warriors. They come in with the young child who is harmed and feeble. At the point when the troopers guarantee they are his ally, the young man opens up and presents himself. The troopers giggle when the youngster shakes his hand with the administrator, proposing he present himself as well. The troopers feel loving with the small child, and circle him around. They make him hydrate and feed him. Indeed, even the generally cool leader deals with the youngster. A medical caretaker named Kadi addresses Sergei's injuries, and is enchanted by his character as well. The youngster requests that she draw a tank on his injuries, since he needs to be a warrior when he grows up. Indeed, even the harmed fighters converse with the youngster, and feel lighter. Sergei is intrigued with the commandant's weapon and his cluster. The officer also answers every one of the young man's inquiries and allows him to play with his privileged gun in the wake of taking the slugs out. Sergei shows him the tank drawn on his stomach, and flaunts about being a warrior himself. The kid is mending rapidly. The medical attendant Katia requests that the commandant let the kid stay with the regiment, yet he dissents, asserting that it won't be protected. He needs to send Sergei to a shelter. The troopers invested all their free energy with Sergei. He is visited by quite a few people over the course of the day. They bring him food sent by their families from a remote place, and, surprisingly, let him play with their optics. At some point, an officer goes to the commandant to request that he let the kid stay with the regiment. The troopers have grown a nearby association with the youngster, and consider him their own. His presence takes the heaviness of battle off their mind. Be that as it may, the officer is resolved about sending the kid to the halfway house, for his own well-being. The next day, the foes assault, and many officers are harmed. A vehicle comes to get Sergei to take him to the halfway house. The commandant tells the youngster and gives him a wooden privileged gun as a gift. The kid thusly embraces him, guaranteeing that he is frightened for the leader's well-being. The authority liquefies in his hug, and adjusts his perspective. He requests that Sergei stay with the troopers as his child. That evening, the troopers search for little warrior garments for the young man. They are ecstatic to have Sergei stay with them. The authority awakens Sergei and gives him the garments. He wears them and goes around, seeming to be a genuine trooper. The others begin calling him their little officer kid. As the youngster goes around, the Germans send off an air assault on the Legion. The warriors rapidly take Sergei to a protected spot and battle the others. The quantity of harmed fighters develops quickly. Sergei needs to make himself valuable, so he carries water to parched fighters. One of them requests that he read a letter sent by his family since he has a gauze over his eyes. The young man needs to help, yet doesn't have the foggiest idea how to peruse. He takes the letter and fires, making up the things composed on it, guaranteeing that the trooper's cow is protected back home. At the point when the officer says he doesn't have a cow, the others advise him to oblige the story and snicker. He peruses every other person's letters in similar style and encourages them. In the accompanying scene, we see Katya and the authority talking. The two appear to be drawn to one another, however don't admit their sentiments. Afterward, Sergei lets the administrator know that he is of the systematic situation in the contingent and starts presenting himself as one. Be that as it may, the kid then, at that point, sees one of the troopers' station obliterated from the assault. The authority helps him to offer appreciation to the dead fighter. The following day, he demands the officer give him a mission and is given an undertaking to disperse the letters among the troopers. He finishes his responsibility productively and even makes the warriors dance for him. The next day, Sergei goes somewhat distant from the base with his optics. As he is playing with it, he sees somebody's leg moving from inside a sheath. He surges back to the force and enlightens the warriors concerning his discoveries. The troopers are incredulous, however go with the kid in any case. At the point when they arrive at close to the sheath, they are made aware of two German covert operatives stowing away under. The government operatives are captured, and the youngster is commended for his insight. That evening, the commandant shows Sergei the legitimate papers for his reception. He is currently authoritatively the youngster's dad. Sergei is aware of the leader's affections for Katya. In this way, to reimburse his thoughtfulness, he takes him to admit to her. Yet, the two see her conversing with an alternate man, and unjustly expect she is keen on another person. The base is gone after by the Germans once more. This time, Sergei assists the warriors energetically, by providing ammo to the officers in the cutting edge, yet the troopers there order him to return to the shed since it is excessively risky outside. At the point when he comes to the shed, he sees the administrator and others overreacting on the grounds that the telephone's association with the colonel is lost. A fighter is shipped off to fix the wrecked wires. Sergei follows the fighter and sees he has been lethally injured. He asks the perishing trooper how he can fix the wires, and does it without anyone else's help. The association returns and more soldiers are called. The 6 years of age saves everybody's life. Afterward, we see the authority and Katya talking by the waterway. The authority at long last admits his affection for herself and requests that she be Sergei's mom. Katya is euphoric, however before she can say anything, a fighter approaches them and gives the leader a letter, saying they have been dispatched from the base. The next day, every one of the fighters leave for their new base alongside Sergei. Notwithstanding, they run over a minefield that brushes off a portion of their vehicles. The administrator is harmed while the gathering's deliberate, who Sergei was close with, bites the dust in the blast. He cries and embraces the authority. They convey the harmed ones with them and proceed with their excursion to their new base. At the point when they at last arrive at the other base, they meet the commandant's chief, the general. He also is dazzled by the youngster's desire, and praises the authority for having such a shrewd youngster. The next day, their division is granted a watchman's standard, as is the kid. He vows to save his nation when the general gives him his bunch. One evening, their base is gone after severely, and the administrator is caught under the remains. Sergei weeps for his dad and attempts to save him. He calls different troopers, who at long last bring the administrator out. The following day, Sergei approaches a harmed officer. His hands were harmed while attempting to save the authority. The youngster is presently an indivisible piece of the group. He doesn't have a family next to them, and moves any place they go in the conflict. The film closes as the regiment is seen moving to another base. A voice behind the scenes portrays that he even partook in the Stalingrad fight, and arrived at Poland with the warriors. He is presently known as the world's most youthful warrior ever, and the incredible story of his grit is currently spread so that the entire world might hear. Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button and notification bell to help us out. Thank you for watching.